how do you define that? What is the productivity paradox? And how are folks that are listening to the show maybe encountering that in their own life?
I realized that productivity was kind of pushed onto us when we were little, as the productivity seemed to be related to grades. Like if we got good grades, then maybe we could do whatever we wanted in the weekend. Somehow the parents were happy, the teachers were happy. And as kids, I think we got that it was like, oh, if I do that stuff that often doesn't really mean anything to me as a child, but I'm doing it to get that stuff, that good stuff that otherwise, if I don't do the way I'm asked, I get punished and I get, bad grades, and then all sorts of really bad things happen, like I'm grounded and all sorts of not good things. And so I think we've equated productivity very early on to like what these people, big, taller, more powerful people around us had us do. And I don't think it has much to do with what was inspiring to us, what was meaningful to us.
Sophie Sheesh is an accomplished author, keynote speaker, and multi-passionate entrepreneur. Can we actually tune in with our inner sense of purpose as a way to become productive?
Yes, ultimately, yes, entirely. But I think we've covered up our true self with other things that sounded like the truth at some moment. Yes, but it has it's not just whatever I want. There is something to the wisdom that comes from growing my self-love, like now when I eat, I'm guided by, is this bite gonna give me energy? Is this gonna suck my energy? Is it gonna make me go for a run or for a deep conversation that requires my clarity? Or is it gonna lead to me needing a nap and watching, some meaningless television? And so I do think that ultimately it came for me from rising enough self-love that then I could trust the voice.
What does it mean to not have the amount of self-love needed to do something that we know is good for us?
If I deserve all of the goodness, and I deserve love, and I deserve wealth, and I deserve health, then I will embrace all those things, as when they come, I'll say, yeah, that's exactly what my life is to be. Like children often do before we mess with them. And so the upper limit problem is when you get to a new level of success and there's a part of you that says, oh, no, this is too much. This is too much goodness. This is too much joy. How often have we met people that are very successful in their career, but they're destroying their health? Or maybe their health is wonderful, but they have really destructive relationships.
What do you say to folks in that kind of general range of experiences to kind of get them moving in the right direction?
Is a really interesting question, which if you're in the race and you're just going, and you get up and you go and you start your day and you never pause and you never take a second, in your particular case, I think it led you to a very healthy moment of, okay, why? I mean, you're not saying, why am I doing this with the expectation that it's a bad thing. If you ask from a place of curiosity, of like, why am I doing those things? Well, because I need money to raise my children, and great, then I'm doing something that has that particular purpose at this moment, which may or may not be true forever. So when something starts to feel out of alignment, it's the proper thing to pause and say, is this fulfilling me? I think we have the right to pause and say, all right, this was the track that made sense when I was in my 20s or my 30s or whatever, but now this track doesn't make sense. And because society has been so violent, is the word that comes to mind, but so intensely trying to get us out of our own hearts, we believe that we have to keep doing it. And I say we don't. We totally have the right to say, all right, I studied medicine, but really I want to be an architect. Hallelujah, go be an architect. Like there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to ask those questions. And I think society, if whatever they are or whatever that world outside of us that we let manipulate us a little bit. I mean, there are some people that are making a lot of money trying to make us do what they want us to do.
How you're defining productivity?
Well, because productivity, if it's not tied to bringing you happiness, what was the point in the first place? Like if productivity is just moving a bunch of widgets, then the Industrial Revolution was all about that. Like, how do I go from moving 12 widgets to moving 14 so that I produce even more? I mean, that is the definition. If you go to the dictionary, it will give you a definition around that. Like, how do I make the system make me produce more? It is completely not tied to, am I producing something that means something to me or to society or to, it's completely tied to consumption, the way we were just talking about it.
What is the way to stay connected to ourselves through all of these forces that might be pulling us away from that? How do we kind of keep connection with ourselves through all of that?
I do think that there is an alignment that we deserve to be doing something that we love and make money that needs to be a little bit we need to rewire this a little bit in our society, like by nurturing, by going deeper in who we are. I think there is a river of wealth that we don't tap into because fear, somehow along the way, we've lost the trust that we could do what we love and be supported by that.
Why do we not follow through on the things that we have experienced as being positive for us, and still aren't able to do?
People connect through their misery. That's an important piece of this puzzle, is that we want connection. And if I say to you something, I don't know, I was raped as a very young woman, that's a horrible thing. And the second I say that, I can see it in your eyes, Rahul, immediately. There's like, oh, wow, like that's really like, it pulls compassion, it pulls like, it probably taps you into, I feel safe to tell her some things of my life. Like it does all these things. But can we not connect as well through our power and our goodness and our wealth and all the goodness? I think as a society, we're still pretty much addicted to complaining and gossiping and doing all these things so that we somehow feel the connectivity.
Would you agree with that like kind of our social embeddedness is a big piece of this?
I do. And I do think that some people, when you say people, I think people will reject you sometimes. Like, I do think that some of the choices I've made have caused people, like the way I demand honest conversations, the way I ask people to not have behaviors that are passive aggressive, that something doesn't work, that we should really bring it up with honesty and care. And some people run. I think I trust intrinsically, I trust us. I trust us as people. I trust us as a society. Do we lose our way? Do we sometimes turn off the light? Do we sometimes? Probably. But look at nature. Sometimes there's typhoons that are killing people, and sometimes there is a seed that becomes this tree that feeds the village. It's we can't sit there. Nature reflects the complexity of what all these options are and all these possibilities are.